Here's my vlog. It's April 11th, 10 o'clock. I'm just getting out of bed now. Kind of had insomnia. But I wasn't screwing around on the computer or anything. Just laying in bed with my eyes closed, but my lungs aren't doing so well. I smoked weed for my, what day is it? On Wednesday. Tuesday night was the last time I smoked weed that I cut out of my closet. And then I went to the psychologist and to get diagnosed with Asperger's, or autism, level 1 autism, with my mom. And my psychologist was telling me that he's 100% convinced I'm not going to be able to quit smoking weed on my own, that I'm going to need treatment. But yeah, but my lungs were screwed up, way wasted, always there. Yeah, smoking all of those like little baby plants and like basically inhaling butane, and like I couldn't get a deep breath all day for the last couple of days, and I'm waking up. So plus I only have like 18 hits left of my Advair, and then I can't afford to get any more. So I kind of slept in today because I wore myself out sticking screws in all of my hooks in my apartment. And I have I went through an entire big bag that I had of those, and then I went into this other secondary box of them. And I almost finished. There's some over there that I have to do. Yeah, there they are. That were hanging that, and then that fell, because I noticed that around my apartment, like a half dozen of those had fallen off or more, and I could see what was happening. They were all going to slide off eventually, and I was going to lose all of the time and money I invested in all of that. So I just never got around to sticking the screws in because it was too much work. So I did it yesterday, but it took forever. And by the time I was done, I was tired. Like, it was an actual workout, sitting around screwing all day long. But before that, it actually happened when I was doing my vlog in the morning. The door buzzed, so I buzzed him in, and yeah, that was my dirt jumper front wheel that I ordered. So I got up and went to the bike shop and got tubes. I didn't have inner tubes for it, and yeah, came back, but then I realized, and I got a disc for it for the front brake. But when I came back, I realized that the wheel didn't come with screws. Just stick the rotor on it. And I also forgot to get rim tape, so I went back to the bike shop a second time, Boulder Community Bikes, and got the rim tape and the screws, and yeah, I came back here and put the bike together and rode it around a little bit. The front brake doesn't really work, but the back brake works okay. Yeah, and fiddled around with the seat, the different heights of the seat, and adjusted the seat, and then so that was interesting, see how that goes. But then I came back in here and started organizing the whole apartment, like putting the bikes where they needed to go and doing these screws, and I was so busy that I didn't even have the time or energy to finish. I was sweeping, and I've got all this stuff on the floor that I have to organize, like for the stuff for my car, because my car, the day before yesterday, I took my car into the shop, and he adjusted a fuse That's my car. The rainbow car. 2003 Mazda Protege. Yeah, so now I can lock stuff in my car again. So I put my electric mountain bike back in there again, and yeah. So today is the day that I get my, I guess, official invitation letter from Avid for Adventure, if they're still gonna hire me, because of my drama with the CIA, IRS, and the fucking, or the IRS drama with the IRS and the freaking. Because of Atlantis and everything. And so I have to do a bunch of humanity homework or paperwork on that, but I also have to do the DVR and the education, so I've got like paperwork. It's Friday, so I'm going to do paperwork is like all day long. After I clean up, I'm going to sweep and then put up my things. I can only really think clearly, and I need to think clearly to do this paperwork stuff, because paperwork never works. I got confused with the DVR paperwork and probably maybe with the humanities stuff. And yeah, I can think way clearer if my apartment's clean. I want to just keep my apartment clean. And so yeah, I'm also going to start off by sticking these up here too, to hang that up again. So I'm not interested. I'm not going to do any exercise, any biking, not go outside or anything until I can take care of all that stuff. Yeah, so last night after I was working it until it was like dark. It was like 9 or something. And yeah, so then I finished the night off by like stretching for an hour or two, watching like ancient Egypt videos, with my big 80-inch TV and stuff. And oh yeah, listening to Bashar. There's a whole lot of new Bashar coming out, like saying stuff that I never heard. What I hear him say yesterday, all the tools that they use to make the pyramids are under the Sphinx. He was talking about that yesterday, but he also said yesterday that that the pyramids were built 10,500 years ago. Yeah, and so now I'm 100. Yeah, now I know 100% for sure it's built 10,500 years ago. People think that Khufu built it in 2,500 BC because they see like inscriptions of Khufu and like repairs that Khufu does on it, and then he puts his name on it, and they see that he did a couple of repairs, and they just say that Khufu did it. So it's, or like they do carbon dating on like some patchwork, or they busted inside of it and they see patchwork and they from the carbon, and it comes from Khufu, so they're like Khufu made the whole thing. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense that. So now when I look at it, like I'm looking at it like it's 10,500 years old, and that's obviously how old it is, because Plato or Herodotus, I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was may have been Herodotus, but he went to Sais, Egypt, which is one of the cities in the estuary of Egypt, and they had the same lineage of priests, father to son, and they were on like the 336th priest. And so he calculated an average of 33 years a generation. That's how old my mom was when I was born. And yeah, he calculated it 10,000 years before him. So when the pyramids were built was when the priests of Sais started. And also they said that the culture of the Egyptians said their culture had been intact exactly as it was, like, and he listed music, art, and like clothing and everything. It was exactly as it was for the last 10,000 years, and so that's 12,500 years ago, because he was 2,500 BC. So that works out with Younger Dryas, Bashar, Herodotus, and then Plato. They all align. So, but yeah, but also when you look at it and you see the weathering on the Sphinx, there used to be that long ago Sahara Desert had lakes and stuff, and wasn't the desert, and so it was raining more. And yeah, you can see that because I look at my megaliths and monuments and old stuff from that long ago and longer ago all the time. You look at my website, that's all I do, and for the last like 20 years. And yeah, like when I look at the Sphinx, it's like all those erosion from the water, like what was it Robert Schoch said. Yeah, it's like duh. Yeah, that is definitely way older than 4,500 years old. That's like 12,500 years old. And same thing with the pyramids. The level of deterioration on them is more than from 4,500 years old. With the quality, it's like, yeah, those suckers are 10,000 or 12,500 years old. Yeah, and so it makes sense. They moved out of Atlantis. They went over to Egypt, and then that's when they still had the technology. That's when they built those pyramids, and they built the other ones around the world too, like the ones in China, the ones in Bosnia, and the megaliths. And the reason that there's not that much is because that was when the Ice Age was, so that they only had like the area around the coast to live. And if they did build, for whatever reason, build like cities on top of the ice, I mean, those would have been cities that would have been disappeared when the ice melted away. So, but yeah, so they were just, the population wasn't as much, and they didn't have as many different places in the world to live, more along the coast. So, yeah, so that was cool. I might listen to some more of what he has to say. He said that when we go into the Pyramid of Bosnia, we're going to bump into people from parallel universes, like parallel Earths. Like you're going to bump into somebody. You're going to bump into yourself from a parallel universe. So you're going to see yourself and you'll be like, what the hell? That's me. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Or other people. So you'll be like, where are you from? They'll be like, I'm from Earth. And they're like, what country? And they'll like name a country you haven't heard of. And you're like, wait, what? But, anyway, maybe I should have started the Atlantis, talking about Atlantis way earlier. I guess that's what it is. The rest of the video is going to be about Atlantis, because I don't really have much to say about myself. I'm all day long. Yesterday was doing these, and cleaning and doing these, plus and fixing the bike. I had to get into my tools and put the bike together and all that. Yeah, I had to go back for inner tubes. I didn't have the right size of inner tubes. Weren't quite big enough. But yeah, mountain bike tires are thicker. Like when I was a kid, usually you'd ride 1.95 mountain bike tires, and if you were feeling really, if you really wanted the thick tire to go over the mud and stuff, you get the 2-inch. And now, like, you've got 2.25 inch, but then, like, if you want to be like a dirt jumper or enduro, it's like 2.3 inches thick. Yeah, and then you have the fat bikes, which are like 4 inches. But so yeah, we'll talk about Atlantis. So when I say where Atlantis is, like on my website, like Atlantis is here, or on my YouTube's Atlantis is here, and then you click it, and then you see where I'm saying where it is. I'm not saying Atlantis is there, like that's the underwater island of Atlantis. What I'm saying is that location that I gave is the exact location of the Temple of Poseidon of Atlantis. I also built it on Google Earth. I only have one video that I made from it, from what I built on Google Earth. That's on my Instagram, and yeah, that got a lot of likes. People liked it. I need to I've got so many videos of Atlantis. I think I'll start off with all of my videos of Atlantis that I made. And just, I was going to do it later because I wanted to put all these links and stuff, but now I'm like, dude, I've got way too many things going on. I'm just going to upload it as it is. That's good enough. And maybe I can make them better later, you know? But I already recorded them and all that, and so all I have to do is upload them, pretty much, I think. You know, or record them and upload them. So, but as soon as I get into as soon as I get caught up with my life, I have to do all of this paperwork. It's going to give me a headache. So, so yeah, so I guess today's theme about Atlantis is that you know that Atlantis is there, because there's so many different reasons I could say Atlantis is there and then dwell on it, like island, city, ring, inner ring, building, pyramid next to it, all the other buildings, general location of the island, the North and South Americas, the island surrounding it, the comet impact crystals in South Carolina and all those little lakes around them. You could go on, but the one that I'll talk about today is they depixelated the region. Like last year, I told everybody about it on all these videos. Everyone that I could find, nobody responded. The last time I did it, I got 2 likes on 2 comments on Billy Carson's channel and Joe Rogan's interview with Randall Carson. And then this other dude jumped on me and said me I was a liar, but I commented back, but I got blocked. But yeah, like if I tell everybody, and then like right after I told everybody, like literally right after, they depixelated it. They pixelated, I think, at the beginning of March of last year. And so like throughout the month of like January, February, and I was like telling everybody about it and emailing everybody, just on YouTube. That's the only place. And then at the beginning of March is when they depixelated it. And but then they pixelated it again accidentally at the beginning of in an update the beginning of August, and I was lucky enough to catch him in it because I look at it so frequently that I did a video of it, you know. But I thought that it was going to stay, like an idiot, I thought it was going to stay pixelated, so I just did the video. And I didn't do screen captures up the wazoo. I should have just done screen capture. But you know, the video I did was pretty much good enough. Like you can see the circle, outer circle, inner circle. Yeah, because I never did the screen capture before, but I built it on it. I rebuilt all of Atlantis, and that'll be like the next theme for tomorrow. The only difference is the actual city is like 20 kilometers west of where it really is, because that was before I actually found the circle. I was just guessing. Based on what you know, Plato said. And so yeah, if they're going to depixelate the whole region, like, doesn't anybody have anything to say about that? Because I haven't met anybody. The only like sign of life that I get from people when I talk about how they depixelated Atlantis is I get blocked, or in a couple of times where I get a like on my comment. Oh, this dude, Marshall Cambria, who was like one of my YouTube viewers back like 15 years ago, whenever I was living in my van. And I guess he emailed me the other day and said he's been living in his van 10 years and he wanted me to call him. So I wrote him back and I'm like, you should interview me about Atlantis. I want somebody to interview me about Atlantis on YouTube. Whether you agree or not. Like, if you don't agree, I'll just convince you. And if you do agree, I'll convince you more. But, yeah, so, like, but I think I have a feeling that, you know, they say that, like, the government covers up knowledge. There's a cover-up of knowledge. And even Bashar was talking about that yesterday. He's like, of course they cover it up. But that's only like half true, because it's not really so much the government that's covering it up. It's the government and all of the citizens who are working in collusion to cover it up, you know? Because like each one of these people who like wants to snap at me for saying that it's in Bahamas, well, you're in collusion. Like if you were in the government, you'd be probably be more than happy to do stuff to cover it up, like depixelate Bahamas. You know, all the people who, you know, want to not hire me for a job just because of the Atlantis, you're covering it up, you know? All the people who don't want to talk to me or be my friend or, you know, or like, you know, people who like are more hung up on me not making money and want to rub that in and don't want to acknowledge anything. You're all like in collusion of it. But also the people, like the complacent people, you know, who don't like my video or don't comment or like complain, call the government or you know, all the people who don't do anything, who are like little wet noodles who don't care that they depixelated it or don't think that they depixelated it. They think that's how it actually looks, you know, or they see the before and after and they don't care, you know, like you're all in collusion. You know, like all you have to do as an anonymous person is like, you know, is like show a sign of life, you know, of like comment, oh yeah, isn't that bad? Or say it, not on my channel, but say out there, like, why are people pixelating? It's not just the Atlantis that they've depixelated. They depixelated that little city on the south western side of Cuba. That's 2,500 feet below water now. They depixelated the canals that are off the coast of Australia that look just like the canal in Atlantis. I think they did. Because people were looking at them and wondering what they are, and so then they just depixelated. And then people don't care, though, you know. And so, oh, and now, of course, the IRS. That's another thing I have to do. The IRS said they're going to turn off my bank account on Tuesday, even though they only sent the letter out on the 24th, because they say I owe $3,000 because I never paid my 2022 taxes. But I have my 2022 tax file folder, and I see, you know, the amount of money that I paid. I did it with like my little H&R Block like folder and everything, you know. They're all checked out. And so 3 years later, they're saying I owe. That means somebody audited me, somebody deliberately targeted me. And it happened in 2011 too, when I was in my van. Maybe I said videos about Atlantis or something, because they told me I never paid my taxes in 2008, 3 years beforehand. And I had to like send in my entire taxes because they like lost the records or something. And then they said I sent them to the wrong place, so I had to send them somewhere else. It was like $30 each time to print the entire stack. I was living in my van. My mom had to like dig into the basement and get my taxes, mail them to me at General Delivery in California, and then I had to print it up and send it to Ogden, but then it turned out that was the wrong place, and so they had to send it to Fresno, but it turned out that was the wrong place, so I had to send it to Salt Lake City. And then they finally gave up, and I guess I paid my taxes, so now they're not bothering me about the 2008, but now I'm going to have my bank account. And if my bank account gets frozen, that's all over, dude. Like, I can't do job. But that's basically them being like, we don't care about you. And we also know that nobody else cares about you. Like, I could get up on YouTube and be like, this is probably what's going to happen. I'll get up on YouTube. They froze my bank account. And people will be like, oh, God. Fucking guy making up stories again. And I'll be on the street. I'm on the streets. And I'll be like, motherfucker making up stories again. Okay, and then one of these days they're going to find Atlantis exactly where I said it was. I bet you in a couple of years they'll realize that it's in the Bahamas exactly where I said it is. So that's today's theme. Atlantis is there because they depixelated the region. Tomorrow we'll do another theme. Every single day we'll do a different theme. And every single day, so at least I'm doing my part. You know, like my conscience is clear. Like my mom's still alive, so you know, you turn off my bank account. What, are you gonna try to starve me to death? I have food in the cupboard. I can go to my mom's house and she can feed me, you know. And then maybe the homeless shelter has like free food. I could go. Oh, and I can also sell stuff on Craigslist. People come over here. I just start selling off my stuff. Which is kind of just along the line of my karma. Like the same exact day that I finally finished this huge project of putting my condo together is the day that I have to start selling stuff off because the government turns off my bank account. So this is MAGA. Let me explain to you how it works. Like, some people might be like, "Oh, don't tell people where Atlantis is because the government will fuck you." Well, you're right. The people who say the government will fuck you, yeah, you're right. You're right. But don't pat yourself on the back or anything, because it's better to just assume that the government can't do it, and then to have courage and do it. But the way that they do it is, Donald Trump comes in and just literally fires everybody. And then he tells the people who he fires to fire everybody under him who isn't in line with Trump. And then they just fire everybody, and then they rehire everybody who aren't qualified, who are just into Trump, like Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense or something. And then after those people rehire, those people are under the image, they're like little clones of the king. And then so that's how they send out these letters. They just change the rules, send out letters to me. I have to pay $3,000 from 2022, even though I paid my taxes by Tuesday, or they're going to turn off my bank account. And garner my income. So they're going to bust into my bank account too. They're going to take all the money out of my bank account, and they're going to freeze my bank account after they take it out. Because they have enough people who are MAGA, who are all in lockstep with each other. So there need to be laws made so it's harder for the president to just fire people like that. We're going to have to make a lot of changes to the Constitution. If the Constitution survives Trump and his cronies, we're going to have to make a lot of more additions. Like you can't fire people so much. Take actual power away from the president. I saw this thing, I was watching these clips, and some dude said that, I was watching Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar is who I watch the most with political commentary. And there was a guy who, man, I'm starting to lose my train of thought, who said that, no, I don't think it was Sam Cedar, it was somebody else. But there's this Joe Rogan. People are trashing Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan got that big $300 million Spotify deal and turned into a hardcore right-wing idiot, and only started getting right-wing billionaires on to yap nonsense. And one guy was on Joe Rogan, saying that Winston Churchill was the #1 villain of World War II. Winston Churchill, I read Winston Churchill's autobiography. And actually, I think every book that he's written, I've read recently. But he was lamenting that in World War II, that they would have meetings with the President of the United States and the other members of the Allies, Stalin, and then they'd go off and have to implement their plans, and then they would get frustrated with Churchill for not doing what they did, and he's like, these guys don't understand, I don't have anywhere near as much power as the President of the United States. Roosevelt could go and do this, that, and the next thing, but I have to go through all these committees and votes and all this kind of stuff. So that guy was so full of shit. Winston Churchill didn't even have the power, even if he could do all kinds of whatever he was talking about. And Winston Churchill was one of the greatest historians ever. And so if you're a brilliant historian writer, you're one of the worst. Stalin was a bank robber who was in prison. He was illiterate. And Hitler wasn't even an intellectual. He wanted to be an artist. And then he wrote a crazy racist book. And so it shows how much these right-wingers value historians and history, and how stupid Joe Rogan is. But yeah, they're saying Joe Rogan, he likes to brag that he's stupid. It's oh, I'm just a dumbass, just talking. Then he'll turn around and he'll start yapping he knows everything, some hardcore right-wing talking point. I hope Joe Rogan falls even farther. He's like 4th or 5th or 6th now. I hope he falls down to like not even top 20 and just turns into another crazy, red-headed, beat-headed, bald, veiny, foreheaded, right-wing lunatic. Like Vinny from Valuetainment. Joe Rogan should interview Vinny. They look like twins. Yeah, so that's my vlog talking about Atlantis. I'll start the Atlantis part in the beginning. That wasn't so much talking about myself. Yeah, and then get going. I'm like, yeah, so I'm completely uninterested in going outside. I'm done trying to get in shape. I'm done riding my bike. I'm done trying to help my mom. In fact, my mom's going to come here and help me today. It's her turn to help me. I've been helping her over at her house, preparing her house for her roommate and all this stuff lately. And yeah, I need to get going because I only have until the 23rd. I mean, I guess she said we can extend it, but I have the 23rd until I can get like enrolled and stuff. And so I have to take 1011 and 1031 to get my early childhood certificate to teach preschool. That's the job that I decided I want. There's probably gonna cause a lot of drama with whoever hires me, but I think somebody will hire me actually. But I'm super curious. Like, the problem is women are the ones who I'm going to be working with, and women's like brains are like the size of like peas. Their ability to imagine and their like ambition is puny, and they only value money. And so if I don't have money, they think I'm stupid. But so there might be some drama, but I'm super motivated to see what a 5 and 6-year-old kids, these little U5 kids, preschool kids, think about my timeline, dude. Like we need to get them. I want to show them my timeline and explain to them my timeline as part of the class. And a lot of those kids, I think, are going to gobble that right up. I guarantee you the teachers are going to be like, this is above their level. It's like, because that's what fucking people do. Everything has to be above people's level. And then I'm the one who gets kicked out of school and gets the fucking 2.3 GPA. It's ridiculous. Yeah, but I think, because old people, forget about the old people, dude. Talking about like the timeline. You could tell old people about ancient civilizations and Atlantis and stuff, but if you talk to them about like history timelines and my timeline and memorizing history, they get like mad. They're like, no, or they don't want to. They think it's impossible, or they're not interested. But yeah, little kids, man, little kids. I'm super duper curious. Well, plus it's the only job that I can get that requires a college degree that I've seen around here. And I was in licking butthole in college until I was 23, dude. And I did 2, and all I have to show for it is an English degree. And I did 2 summer classes, ruined my whole childhood, ruined my whole youth, doing this bullshit college. And now it's like, well, can I have one thing to show for it? How about that preschool job? So yeah, like one way I could have used college was to do continuing education, get like a master's and then a PhD, and then maybe I can get hired. But it's like, I'm done playing that game, dude. I was so burnt out. I'm so burnt out on school. Like, I really don't even want to do these 2 classes, and I think I have to do them in class. It's like, oh my god, dude. Why can't people just do the timeline? Take my timeline test. Anyway, self-directed education, dude. That's the future. Not schools, not butt licking in these death boxes. They only have those, to keep the economy going, because people need jobs. They don't have the motivation to do it themselves. And but nobody agrees with me, because nobody would ever give me 2 pennies. Donovan gave me $20 like 7 years ago. He's like a loan adjustment guy in Kentucky or something like that, Tennessee. Anyway, I put him name. If you give me $20, $5, $10, $1, I'll put your name on my website. But I guess people don't want that. They don't want to associate themselves with me because they don't think Atlantis is where I say it is. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, I should try to not bitch and moan so much. but it's not that important. So, but it is frustrating, dude. Sort of. What I need to do is I need to train my brain to be like, you know what? See, I'm not the kind of person, I'm not like a narcissistic, like, sociopathic capitalist. Like, my self-worth doesn't depend on how, like, better I am than other people, and I don't want to feel better. I want everybody to be the same. But maybe I'd feel better if I was just like, you know what? You're the brilliant chosen one who is to tell everybody where Atlantis is. Oh, yeah, that's right, dude. This is something I wanted to say about Atlantis. I'm glad I thought of it before I hung up the video. Yeah, I've been talking about Atlantis so much. Bashar said, like, Atlantis is the most beautiful place ever. So I had a vision of Atlantis. You know, I've had this vision of Atlantis since forever because I built it. I even built it, and I was going to build it up completely. Current Atlantis. But last night I was piecing more of it together, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Just believe it. So I'm going to tell you what real Atlantis is, what it is now. And I actually believe that I'm channeling actual real Atlantis at this point. I kind of had that epiphany last night. So future Atlantis, Bashar said it's unbelievably beautiful, and what he was talking about was the animals. Atlantis turned into a big zoo. And so, and it's also, it's just like his planet, where all of their, all the people live in spaceships above the planet, and they use the planet as just like a natural sanctuary. It's like a garden for them to just gaze at and like be proud of themselves for keeping this beautiful like planet and all the animals that they have on it. And they go down to the planet just to live, like to do activities and stuff, fun activities, sports and stuff. But they don't have any of their actual like living quarters there because they don't want to pollute the planet. And it's kind of similar with Atlantis. Like, everybody gets concentrated in these giant Exceed 4,000 buildings that are 4,000 meters high that can house like millions of people, and they're spaced every 20 kilometers. So when you want to go to another town, you just go to the top of the building and you wingsuit to the other town, or you take a glider. And they also have like a Jetson city and right below the Jetsons, the TV show The Jetsons, like these big sky cities. But then directly below it are these like islands, these little islands that are connected with like causeways, and they're like half island, half like water, like nature sanctuaries. But then throughout the entire island, like where the canal goes through, are these big fields where they keep all the different animals that they have kind of genetically transformed into like friendly people. You know, like back in the days of caveman, when humans were just another animal, you know, like we were few and far in between. Like we never really interacted. We almost never interacted with other human tribes. It was just our own tribe that we knew. And the other animals that we interacted with instead of other people, you know, the people who we fought with weren't people. They were like animals. Like we were fighting for our life with saber-toothed tigers and hyenas and dogs, wolves and boars and all kinds of stuff, dude. And so they were kind of like on the same level with us. Like we looked at animals like they were just another type of race of human. And it's kind of similar like with a future Atlantis. We'll look at the animals like they're just people like us, because we will, we'll interact with them. Like we'll use them for wrestling. We'll do competition with them. We race with them, and they like to race. We do tag team races with them. We wrestle them. We wrestle bear and lion. And especially with a lion, lions can get, like when you wrestle with a lion, the lions get like bonded with you when they wrestle you. And then the lions actually enjoy wrestling humans, like even more than humans want to wrestle lions. Like the lions are like, they like feel human energy off of you, and they want to like, they just love humans. They can like, you know, almost like psychically connect with your whole being. And you know, so with their big lion heads and stuff, you literally start hanging out with them, and then they're like your friend, like you're telepathically communicating with them. Like if a lion looks at you and he has like liver problems, because that's the main problem with lions, because their livers, one reason lions and cats have liver problems is because the liver doesn't just process like physical toxin, but also spiritual toxin. And so if there's a lot of like spiritual sickness around, if you're like depressed, your cat is going to develop liver problems. And but like in the future, like with your liver, with your lion, and he's not feeling so good with an achy liver, you can look in his eyes and you can diagnose. He's like, you're like, oh, your liver's not feeling good. Okay, here, let's go and get you some liver medicine, liver water. And then you give him a little like back rub or whatever. But like, yeah, just like that, like literally, like we'll learn to telepathically communicate with each other. Like they say in the future, humans and aliens telepathically communicate. Well, one way they learned how to do that is with the animals. They first started telepathically communicating, and first specifically with lions. Started telepathically communicating with lions. Like, what do you need? You hungry? You thirsty? Where you want to go? You want to do a race? You want to wrestle? And you can do it all with the mind. And then once you hone in with doing the lions, then it's the bears. And then after the bears, you can do it with like dogs. And then you start to be able to do it with each other. Yeah. And then we're just like, you know what? Let's just like, yeah. And then it develops, and then you can even completely telepathically communicate. And yeah, so that's one. That's why. So it's like a giant zoo, kind of also to like protect all the animals, because then they would like use it as a center to, because that was the ice age melted away from Atlantis too. So then they were able to inhabit the rest of the world, but in a responsible way. So then they could use it as a place, a jumping off point to then continue to terraform the earth and make sure that every nook and cranny of the earth is filled with as many different animals as the environment can sustain. And so, yeah, not just Atlantis, but the whole world is beautiful. Yeah. And even safe, relatively safe, considering the types of animals and the size of the animals that are running around. You know, even the wild animals got privy to it and started like hunting each other, but not bothering humans. But also humans by then have super suits that could like electrify any of these big animals that try to eat them. But not kill them, just like you can set your suit or your gun on stun. But so yeah, that's the future. Yeah, because Bashar was talking about the suits that they have. Like their suits can look like suits like us if they want to walk amongst humans. You know the question that I would ask if I ever talked to freaking Bashar? This is what I would say. Because all these people are asking, what does my spirit guide look like? This, that, but what I would ask, I'd go, hey Bashar, have I ever talked to an alien? You know, and he's like, if he said yes, I'd be like, ooh, I'd get shivers up my spine, and I'd be like, okay, who, you know, if he didn't want to tell me, I'd be like, I'd try to pinpoint as much. I'd be like, what year was it? And then I'd try to scan my brain and be like, did I ever talk to anybody who was a little bit odd? Or did I ever talk to one of these like 300-year-old people? He said that there's like few and far between, so I don't know how many, maybe less than half a dozen in the world, but he said there's a couple of people who are 1,000 years old, and there's a few people who are 300-400 years old on Earth. So that's kind of and so like, did I ever see, or not even interact? Like, have I ever seen anybody on TV? You know, and then who, and then maybe I could kind of guess who it was. That would be trippy as hell. If you want to see an alien, the best place to go is Las Vegas. Because it's next to where like Area 51 and all these other places go. They don't have to go very far. And plus they can blend in easier because there's people from all over the world there and like all kinds of like crazy energy with the performers and everything. That just energetically they can blend in a lot better there. And yeah, so if you see anybody abnormal, that's most likely that it's going to be there. One guy I heard like an interview with Art Bell like 20 years ago said he was in there and he saw some like super tall lady, and he's like, "Ooh, that must be an alien." But when I was a kid, my parents said they had a friend who said that they were from a moon of Jupiter, and I think my parents even believed him. But I can't think of anybody I've ever met in my entire life who I would even remotely guess may have been an alien, or may have been like extra old or anything. Bashar said that the upper ages of Atlanteans was 120 to 150. Herodotus said there was a king of Cadiz who lived to 120. So it's been kind of common knowledge forever that the upper edge of human ability to live is 120. But under Atlantean, it was like 150. But he said that the Anunnaki, like the original kings of Mesopotamia, it could be thousands. Anyways, but then I speak in tongues all the time, and last night I was like, maybe it has anything to do with Atlantis. So in case it does, like, if you want to know what if you don't know what the language of Atlantean sounds like, there's lots of t sounds, t, and there's lots of s, lots of s and t, yeah, yeah. So it's like Riksquatskola, Brantikiast, Blanquasitidimans, Vokwana de Petikiaza. There's this one phrase that I can't remember. Deldriaka fartuji, ikfiana pokwala ichkmenia kwalokwano paisinia. And there's also a lot of rolling R's, like in Spanish, like Rikyala guaguonich guanipitisiakako. Nuts petisikiniaka palionon, dratskipichiaka kwalni to food. So it's like, and they finish the words with T's. And it's actually kind of similar to the ancient Aztecan language. It didn't really, it's the most similar to the Aztecan language than any other language in the world because it just interacted with other like incoming, passing through societies. You know, like in Egypt, there was people from the Mediterranean passing through and getting taken over by the Greeks, and it kind of just gets watered down. Especially after like the Greeks took over, but no, but like if you look at like, you know, Aztlan, that's what they called Atlantis, or if you would call it Atlantis, kind of like that, and like, yeah, so, and lots of ch sounds, like Chichen Itza, that's like remarkably close to the actual original name of what the Atlanteans call it. Like, you know, you might think that like 10, 12,000 years ago, like everything changes. There's some things that remain intact that long that would surprise you, like etymologically, like words, and especially letters, dude. Like our alphabet, the Earth, the 26 letter English alphabet is Atlantean, more or less. Like it originally came from Phoenicians, but the Phoenicians got it from the Egyptians, who got it from the Atlanteans. At one, like Y's, like a lot of letters are the same now as they were in the time of Atlantis. Like you'd almost look at the letters and be like, holy shit, whoa, it didn't change as nearly as much as I thought. Like looking, it's almost like you could feel like you could read it. The reason that they have the hieroglyphics is to make it a little bit simpler, easier to like depict letters and stuff. But they had an actual like alphabet with letters, and similar to ours. But words too, you know, like names of things. You know, like when you take over a country, like when we take over the Celts of like France or England or whatever, you know, you replace the language. You know, they replace the Celtic language with the Roman language and all that, but you keep the place names. And so that's how place names and names for places and stuff can just stay intact for that long. So like the name, like Chichen Itza, was almost like that. So Chichen Itza, that's like Atlantean language. That's what the Atlantean language sounds like. Chichen. So you can say like Chichen Itza, Teotihuacan, Atlantis, Quachtisa, Titrus, Kobanich, Piscanit, Quadto, Tuanitisa. Oh, and also how they looked. So people that long ago, like the races were different. Like the races change genetically quicker than we realize. You know, and even animal races, like they're like there's now half polar bear, half brown bear that's already starting to evolve because of the melting of the ice caps. And so yeah, in the time of Atlantis, like if you were to see a modern day Atlantean walk down the road, you'd be like, God damn it, where in the fuck is that dude from? Because they look different. Like their skin color was the same color as like a modern Native American. So it was like red skin color. but their noses were like ungodly huge, like so big that they were ugly, like so big that you wanted to punch them in their face to see if it would make a sound, like clown noses. It's like if you look at their profile, and they were bent too. They weren't straight, so they go out like this, and then they halfway through they do like an angle, and then they do like that. And they were also really thick, so their noses were as thick as black people, as pokey as long out as like a Jew, and then as bendy as like some kind of a mutant. And so when you saw them from the side, you were like, and it kind of gives you the impression that they're kind of like, with those big features, it's kind of manly, like the big forehead of the like caveman of Neanderthal. You're like, whoa, like the. It just kind of gives you the impression that they're kind of like physically strong because they had big muscles too. They were tall and muscular, and those big ass noses. You're like, damn. Yeah, and RH blood type is that's what Bashar said. It's kind of like a remnant of that. Oh yeah, but one way that the Atlanteans became super interested in taking care of animals is because of guilt. They felt really bad about what they did to animals genetically, because like the Romans, if the Roman Empire the Roman Empire outlawed gladiator fights in like 397 or something, because the Christians they were just too humane. They were becoming more and more humane and getting sick of all of the violence. And that's kind of what Atlanteans were doing. They were like, but at the beginning they were just entertaining themselves with like making gladiators fight animals and fight each other. And that's what the Atlanteans doing with animals. Like they were making Pegasuses, but Pegasuses like can't fly. Like you could drop a Pegasus from like 5 stories and it could not break its leg, but if you drop him from 10 stories, he'll break his leg. And they had the technology to fix his legs so they don't have to put a bullet in his head, but the Pegasus weren't having fun. They were like, what are you doing? You're torturing me. This isn't fun. And then they were building Centaurs, and those were the worst. Those guys were the most miserable. And they were building even like half pig, half human people, half dog, half human. It was disgusting. And then they finally were gonna, and that's kind of one of the reasons, like the ones who did that the most is one of the reasons they brought the comet to destroy them. But the ones who survived, the Atlanteans who survived, and the parallel universe that survived, the timeline that survived, they were doing that for a while, and then their animal rights activists were like, you know what, if you like animals so much, why not mutate them into like what they actually are, their nature, but interact with them, like treat them like another human like you, and then do like bear wrestling, lion wrestling, have sanctuaries where that you can race them, and you don't have to like, get your rocks off by seeing what kind of funky, weird ass like mutant animals you can make. That's no fun that's no fun for them, and it's not going to be fun for you either when you look into their eyes and see them like suffering. So so it was kind of similar to them like over tuning the crystals to try to create too much power, just getting like selfish. So they're big animal lovers, and then of course that eventually was going to turn into like a seed colony for spreading animals throughout the whole universe. People would come to Atlantis to pick up, whatever animals that they needed to go and terraform various other planets. So there was just a giant ass zoo. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, those are the insights I had about Atlantis. And I think about it so much that I actually believe it. Like at this point, I feel like I'm channeling real Atlantis. Like the Exceed 4000, the animals, the way that they traveled, all that stuff. Even the sound of their voice. So you can believe me or you not believe me. But I believe me. But you definitely have to believe me in the location. Because that's beyond my mind. That's actual physical world that I saw with my eyes. I saw the island that's 550 by 350 kilometers. Everybody sees that. And that they can't cover that up. But I also saw the circle. It's clear as day. And it's the exact same size as the real circle. I also saw the inner circle. clearly, and right smack dab in the middle, clear as day, I saw. It was at an angle about like this, 45-degree angle. Yeah, the Temple of Poseidon, 90 meters by 185 meters. About half of it was buried, but you could see the holes in the basement. The circle holes in the basement, which are about 7 meters in diameter. And, or they could have been excavation holes because they've been looking for statues. And then next to that is the Pyramid of Chichen Itza, the platform of it. But then up to the upper left a little bit, which I forgot to get a screen capture of, is another pyramid. They had a whole bunch of pyramids in that area. But just, and then you can see all the other buildings around. But, so anyways, that's my video about Atlantis. It's there because they depixelated it. And I said some more stuff about future Atlantis, current Atlantis. Okay, I'm gonna go get started on my day now. Talk to you tomorrow.